Hi everyone, another DrumWise Meets here, and today I'm here with Russ Gilbrook, the drummer from Uriah Heep. Hi Russ.
Hello Tom, hello DrumWise.
So Russ, what equipment are you currently using? When I say currently, I don't mean like right now.
No.
When the world is a normal place, what equipment are you using?
Okay, well, British Drum Company drums, the Legend series. The workmanship is impeccable and it's British made. The guys are fantastic. Yeah, of course I'm going to big them up, but I like to big my endorsees up for the right reasons. I don't big them up because I get free gear. I don't big them up because of this. Because, you know, as a professional musician touring all over the world, I need my equipment to be the best it possibly can be to represent my playing and what I want out of my equipment. So I don't gain anything from it. The drums are phenomenal. The sound is great and they're made great, and that's why I use them, British Drum Company. I've been with Pasty a lot of years now, and again, the same reason. I just think that the Pasty worked for me, certainly in a rock setting. I have got other Pasty cymbals that I use in other sort of jazzy, bluesy, funky gigs that I do now and again. Of course, you need to change your cymbals for different music. But Pasty have always been great to me, and I just love, again, the guys at Pasty and the sound that they give me. Then I've got the Animal signature Russell Gilbrook sticks from the mighty Pelwood, which maybe people are not that familiar with because they're made in the Czech Republic. And like with all relatively small companies, which is what they are, trying to gain access in the big world of Veta, ProMark, Regal Tip, Zildjian, the obvious, it's not worth a stick company investing that kind of money. But as far as the stick's concerned, it's a stick that completely 100% works for me, never ever breaks. I can do a recording knowing that I'm never going to get any hassle with the sticks breaking through, in a take. And I just adore the weight of them, the balance of them, and they make me comfortable. So that's Pelwood for my Animal Russell Gilbrook signature sticks. Inch longer than standard. Then I've got fantastic, again, another British company, Mike Eaton, Code drum heads, which are relatively new, are getting bigger and bigger. And the reason why they're getting bigger is Mike is a great drummer himself. So he understands what a drummer needs from a drum skin, and they act accordingly. They bring out the beefiness of the shells, and they last as long as they need to last. I'm a very, very hard hitter, and if they were to last half a song, I couldn't play them, could I? So I'm very happy with their aspects, and they're always listening to what you've got to say about their product, and they want to keep moving forward and producing better stuff. So that's Code. Then I have ACS, which are my in-ear monitoring. Again, what can I say? All in-ear monitoring is, to me, it's the most comfortable thing I've ever done. Is I don't have any wedges in the back. I have a crap little Behringer 8-channel 60 quid desk here. I have an ambient behind me here that plugs directly in. I have an ambient out front that directly plugs in, right? So I've got on-stage sound, I've got the drum sound, I've got the room sound. It's a crap sound, but I can't get it worse. It can only get better with a mix of the ambience. My monitor guy sends me a mix of the drums so that I've got them a bit more in my face and a bit of attack if I need it. And then I've controlled everything. So I haven't got any monitor calls. I've got no worries with spillage down the drums. So the sound guy's going mental because he's trying to fight it all. And whether I do a little pub to 20 people or 60,000 people in a festival, I'm near enough. A few tweets, I've got the same thing. Wow. And the ACSs work a dream for that because obviously they're molds, they fit in, and away we go. What are we on next? Protection racket. Well, Dean from now, what can you say about Dean? What a nutter anyway, but phenomenal cases. You know, I need cases that look after my protection racket are my look after cases. They're the ones that cradle my cases because they're soft. Then they get put into the hard case. David hard case makes great cases, maybe lovely white ones, where they'd be thrown around like mad, no fear of breakages of the drums at all. So I've got a nice soft protection racket case that cradles them, and they go into my hardware in hard case. So I've got protection racket and hard case endorsement there. And I've got the Porter and Davis kick butter, because I don't have the speakers at the back, I need to feel the bass drum. But I do it slightly different. It's the most amazing thing, the BC2. I can put everything in. I don't have snare drum in because it's such a loud instrument that I just need to hear it a little bit. But with the toms and the bass drum, I don't like my kick butter to just be all bass drum. So you get dip, 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 and you're hitting air here. It puts me off. I want to feel a dynamic that's consistent. So, and because the Portland Davis's touch sensitivity is so good, it's almost 100%, if you like. So when you are playing touch sensitive, you can still feel it being touch sensitive. But when I'm doing fills and bits and pieces with the toms and the feet, I'm feeling everything. And of course, that's fantastic as well. So without that, it's a little bit difficult to do, which is very, very rare, maybe like 0.5% of my touring. When we do a flying show to Romania or something and it's not worth taking our gear out, I just set up and play like I do in a pub with nothing. It doesn't bother me, but obviously it's not as nice. So that's that endorsement. Baskey, I've got endorsement with Baskey. Fantastic. Put the blocks in, nothing's going anywhere because I'm very heavy-footed. And if everyone knows, a little tip for the bass drum players and hi-hat if you want, but bass, double bass drum players and stuff, is that, yes, you drive down and forward. Manufacturers out there, you drive down and forward when you're playing really hard. So it's no good putting the spikes about that far away from the pedal. They need to be out here. It's like physics. Anyway, so I diverted then. The Casino Hardware for British Drum Company, I can't wait for that to come out so I can actually, be fully British Drum Company up.
What age did you start drumming, and what bands did you grow up listening to? And if you can answer this one as well, because this is a hard one, who's your favourite drummer of all time?
Right, well, I started tapping away on plastic bowls with spoons when I was 2. I was born with club, for not many people know this, I was born with club feet. I was born with my feet upside down and inside out. So my feet were upside down and inside out. And I was the first person in the world actually to have this particular operation that I had on my legs as an experiment, and it happened to work, thank God. But so at the age of 2, I was dragging myself around because my last operation was about 2.5. I was dragging myself around, tapping away trying to tap away to the melodies of the songs I heard on the radio. Now, my dad was a keyboard player, not professionally, but was a very, very good standard keyboard player and played a lot in the house. So I used to crawl over and put my hand on his foot when he kept time at the time. And when my mum did the hoovering, I used to crawl over and put my head on the hoover with the vibrations. So they guessed something was up. At the age of 4, I started having lessons at the age of 4 with an old-time jazz guy called Georgie Scott that lived in Leytonstone. And I started playing with him. I got to the age of 6. He said, I can't really teach him anymore. You need a modern teacher, because he was 70 then. He said, he's getting too good for me to teach. You need to go to this up-and-coming guy called Bob Armstrong.
Okay.
So, luckily for me, I lived in Hornchurch at the time, and so did Bob Armstrong. So it was 10 minutes in the car. So I started having lessons with Bob. I had 8 years with Bob. And so that's how I started. I was in a band. I was in a duo band, like a keyboard player that played. It was again another fantastic keyboard player. He was 2 years older than me, and I was 6 and he was 8, and he played the Hammond organ and used the foot bars to play the bass, and I played drums. We went around all the social clubs doing. We were called the Young Sensationals, what a name. All the social clubs playing all the pop songs at the time, right? And I was only £30 a week at 6. And then, things just progressed from then. I ended up, I could literally read fly shit when I was a a kid because of Bob Armstrong, because of the schooling of his tuition. I paid for an hour and I used to get 2 hours lesson out of him, £3. £3. Hey! And I used to have 2 hours lessons. And from then, I just, everything went through from then. And I took time off school. I was doing tours with some 60s stars when I was 10 and 12. I went up to London to Jesus Christ Superstar, sight read it at 12 years old, didn't know any different. Because I had no fear and I didn't know any different. I knew I was good. But the only thing I didn't understand was the feel of drumming. Because as a kid, you're not experienced enough in life to understand emotion. Really, you cry because you're something sad or you've hurt yourself, and you laugh when it's funny. You don't really understand the emotion of something because you're not switched on enough. So that took the longest. And I remember Bob taking me up to a gig. He had a gig in the West End, and they were all really good top session players, and they were the house band. And he deliberately put me in as a dep. I went in there and I sight read it all, came out all cocky. I think I was 16 years old. I shouldn't really have been in there, but I was 16 years old. Played it, came out all cocky like that. And Bob said, "How do you reckon it went then?" Like the next day on the phone. I said, "Oh, I nailed it, son. Thanks for giving me the chance, but I nailed it." He said, "Well, you were rubbish." Silence. I said, "Do what?" He said, "The bass player said you were rubbish." And I was like, "Well, I nailed it. I mean, Hill said I played well, and yes, you did. You played everything how you should have played." He said, "But you're soulless. There's nothing there. They want to feel music. These guys play with feeling. There's no feeling. You weren't interested in anyone in the band but yourself. You played it perfect, but it didn't mean anything." And that was like a light bulb moment. He said, "Right, here you go, Steely Dan. Here you go, Little Feat. Here you go, Tower of Power. Here you go. Right, for the next 2 weeks before you come back for a lesson, just 24 hours a day, listen to those guys play, right? And understand what it is they're playing, why they're playing it, and listen to the beauty of the beat placement." And that was it. And I was off and running. And the second part of your question about the greatest drummer, I can't answer that. And the reason why I can't answer that is, unfortunately, I'd love Buddy Rich to be around at the same time as Steve, all the same age. Buddy Rich, John Bonham, Steve Gadd, Tony Williams, right? Because they've all got drumming is, to me, drumming is how you sound. Steve Jordan can't play like Dennis Chambers. But can Dennis Chambers, even though he's got groove like Steve Jordan? So even though drumming's made up, for me, it's made up, number one has got to be groove. Without a groove, who wants to play with you, right? Then technique. Because it's no good saying technique's not everything. Charlie Watts, no, it isn't. You can be one of the richest guys in the world, one of the fantastic bands in the world, and not really have to work hard playing the drums. That's not putting him down, but it's a fact. You haven't got to work hard going boom, boom, gat, boom, boom, gat. But it's how it feels, right? So we come back to feeling there. However, you're not going to get the Dream Theatre gig if you ain't got chops. So there's room and manoeuvrability for every drummer out there. You've just got to try and realise that what it is, there comes a time when you go, "I'm just not going to get fast enough there. I'm just not going to get me independence there." Well, don't go down that road, scratching your head and getting all uptight that you can't do. It's not about being a master of everything on the drums. It's being a master of what you've got to deliver. And most of all, which is what's gone for me, individual, be an individual. You put a book up in front of you for too long, you're going to now be a parrot fashion version of the book. Put the books away. Now let's see what you got. Start using your brain and developing your things that are going on. So in a way, I hope that answers the question, because I can't definitively say someone, because I mean, Sonny Payne, what a flaming jazz drummer. Gene Krupa, Louis Belson, the old guys, Joe Morello, Shelly Manne. We can go on forever as far as the old time jazz, and all of them had different forms of technique, but they swung like the clappers. And that's the secret of jazz. Forget your technique, mate. Can you swing? If that ride cymbal ain't having it, you ain't in the band. You know what I mean?
Your answer's brilliant, because I totally agree. It's, if anyone asks me who my favourite drummer is, I just can't pick one. I mean, I can list people, but I love what you say about all those different guys, and a big thing you just said then about putting the books away and just being able and just like thinking about what you're doing and just playing. That's a big thing that a lot of our students don't do. So, you know, they'll have done like a few grades. Let's say they got up to grade 4, and then one day you take the book away and you go, right, sit on the drums, go on, play me something. And they go, what? And just go on, play. And they go, and they just don't know what to do. And I think that's such an important thing, because
it's remember when I listened to Bob Armstrong, I used to do the same thing. I used to turn up at a lesson and not even that. Yeah, you told me to practice that last week. So what? Remember it for next week. This week I'm asking you to do this. And it was a case of throwing the brain out for the say, well, come on then, we're just going to do film scores this time. Right, you're going to read the film scores. Or I turn up and go, right, you're going to sit in with Steely Dan. I'm going to put the record on. This is a groove. I just want you to hear it and feed it and play it. Right? Or I'd put that bloody bass line on, dun, 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 and I'd just hit quarter notes until it's right for an hour, you know, but there'd be a reason behind it. And it's all because he's trying to develop the musicality out of you. We can all learn by robots, but who wants to book a robot in a gig? Nobody.
I've had students before that I've called grade robots, because they do grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. They're literally, that's all they care about. And then I always say, look, have a break in between your grades. There's so much stuff. Grades are good, yes, but there's so much other stuff you need to learn outside of the grades. No, I just want to get to grade 8. And it's like...
Grade 8 doesn't make you a drummer.
No.
When you turn to a gig with any band, doing any gig for the rest of your life, they're not going to say, can I see your grade 8? Oh, good, right. You've got the gig. No, let me hear you play, let me feel your personality, and then we'll see whether you're in.
Yeah. Yeah, love it. I love the way that we've gone off on this route. It's brilliant. It's yeah. And we both agree.
As I said to you before at the beginning here, honesty, facts and reality you can't get away from. It comes out easily if you understand it. If you're trying to hide behind things, there's too many drummers hiding behind things. Yeah, I'm doing that because of this. I'm doing it. No, you're not doing that because you haven't even done it. You're wondering why you can't get to there because you've not started on the right path.
So when you first get a gig with a new artist, how are you expected to learn the songs? So do they give you the music on a sheet of paper written out in drum music and say, right, here you go, learn this? Or do you just go on Spotify or whatever and just like sit and just listen to the songs over and over and just work out what the drums are?
Well, it really depends on the gig. You know, if it's a session, I've done sessions before that's had everything. I've had sessions where they've sent me the demo and they want my ideas based around what's been programmed, and then I'll jot my ideas down. Now, when we're coming down to reading, and it's funny, over the last couple of months, or I think since this lockdown, there's been a lot of forum issues going on about is it important to read and what you should practice and blah, 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 blah. Right? And I sit here sometimes really incensed, and I get very angry. And it's not because I'm having a go at anyone, it's because I'm so passionate and I believe in what I do because I've done it and I've got there. I've nearly done every gig possible. I've survived as a musician. I'm very successful now in a legendary band, right? And I've actually done all of the things that I've stated. So all I'm trying to do is to pass on the experience. Now, doesn't mean to say that I'm right, because there's 1,000,001 different ways to do something. However, you've got to base your facts on something, otherwise there's no point in saying it. So on a session situation, I've turned up, as I said, they've given me the demo a week before, I've worked out ideas, turned up, gone through with the artist or the producer, and you do it. I've turned up before, it's reading only, he's read the dots out, that's what the MD wants, you just play it as if. And he might turn around and say, oh, the second time round there, can you just vary up the drum fills or whatever, right? So little touches. Or you turn up thinking you know what you're going to do, and the producer decided to take out 16 bars and insert something that's in 7/8. You know what I mean? So you've got to be up for every scenario. There isn't one way to do it all. So reading, it's not a necessity, it's an essential, right? And the same I say for writing it, and the same I say for double pedal, the same I say if you learn jazz or hip hop, R&B or death metal. Bob Armstrong always told me, I'll always refer to him because he is the guy that made me who I am, along with my parents and my own practice. And I practiced my backside off. He used to say, no, don't do any of it. But when that phone rings and they say, can you come and do a session? The middle bit is 16-bar swing, and you don't know anything about jazz. You're going to wish you'd done the swing. When they ring up and say, the middle bit there, we want a little bit of a double pedal going on that rock, and you don't play double pedal, you can't do it. So, oh, this is a reading gig. You don't read. Oh, you can't do it. And every time you can't do something, as potential producer that might get you more work, an engineer in the studio that likes what you've done, who might recommend you to other producers, the other band members who you haven't met, who have got a gazillion contacts, and so the whole thing escalates. So no, don't learn it then. The phone rings up and they go, oh, this requires a bit of Afro Cuban 6/8, and you haven't got a clue what you're talking about, you've lost it, and everything that goes with it. And so therefore, all the bits that I've done in the past session-wise, I've had all those things in it. Now, when I first joined Alan Price, who was the keyboard player at the Animals, at 18 years old, he took me for the first time on the biggest tour I've ever done in my life. Up to that point, I've always done sessions and cabarets and shows in London, this, that, and the other. But this was a proper gig with an artist, if you like, right? 180 shows a year, right? Big things, playing to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people a night. He gave it back then. He gave me a cassette. He said, learn it. I rang him up after a week with Uriah Heep. We booked you to play the drum chair. Why would you want you to play like Lee Kerslake? Why do we want you to play like so-and-so, like so-and-so? We booked you. Now play. You're supposed to be good. Do it. We like your image. We like your personality. You've got the chops. Play it. We'll tell you whether you're any good or not when we play. The real McCoy, right? So, and then, of course, I remember seeing on YouTube, Dennis Chambers did, because, you know, he doesn't read music very well. Dennis Chambers. Yeah. No one really reads it. But he's got his own format. Because when you write down something, you can write down dat-digga-doop-doop-booty, shikadum, and if you understand that, fine. You ain't got to write down, oh, this, 2 semiquavers, and then, but for goodness sake, you know, make life easy. Dennis Chambers sat in for David at a Tower Power gig, and he was reading his own charts. So he had to read it, because that stuff you've got to nail. You've got so many little nuances that are crucial to the drum. You can't just waddle through it and you think you need the phrasings and stuff. So in that instance, it's a bit more defined as to, right, I better write out something there because it's too important to how the band plays.
Yeah.
It was a bit more like being open to whatever situation comes in. But you've got to be ready for it, Tom. If you're not ready for, I'm going to send through the file, listen to it and play it. If you don't, what the hell am I going to do? What the hell am I going to, you know, the same as, I can't read that well, then you know what you've got to do.
What are your hobbies away from drums?
Karate. I started karate again. I'm a third Dan Shinkai karate guy. And obviously with the touring got hectic and having loads of things to go on in your personal life, I ended up stopping training. I always did bits and pieces, but I mean proper training. And I've started it back over the last 6 months and I'm really enjoying it. So I love me karate. I love me golf, because when I get onto that golf course, I don't think about a thing. And sometimes, believe it or not, when you're doing a lot of hectic touring, sometimes you need a head breathing space. Believe you me, if a massive tip I can give any drummers at all is you can't clog your head with frustration over not being able to do something, or worried about this lesson because you haven't quite got it, or can I do that? Sometimes going away and doing something else that is really, you know, beneficial for you, or something you really enjoy doing, completely clean up your drum head. When you go back to it, sometimes you can refocus and see things better and start playing better. So, you know, my karate, my golf, I used to play a lot of table tennis. I don't do that anymore. I've only really got time for that because I've got kids, you know, and there's only so many days in the week, I'm afraid. That's the other thing. You know, it's all these people are out there practicing these ostinato rhythms and this independent, for what? For your drumming mate to go, cool, amazing, mate. That's amazing, mate. Never to play it when you can't do the simple things that are going to pay you money. Prioritising. I always think prioritising is the best way that you learn quicker. It's prioritising what you should be learning and not the icing on the cake. That's your little 10 minutes at the end of your practice session. If you're lucky enough to get 10 minutes left, have fun. You still got to put a smile on your face on this fantastic instrument, haven't you?
I always say to our students, you've got to make the sponge first before you put the icing on it.
if anyone knows me, I shoot from the hip. I don't care what I say because I'll back up everything I say with my mouth and with my actions because I've got nothing to prove. I'm touring the world doing it, right? I'm earning a lot of money touring the world doing it with a legendary band. I got nothing to prove. So it doesn't. I'm not saying anything for big-headed. I'm saying things because I honestly believe that certain aspects of people are getting it wrong, and it's not fair on people. There was a thing on Facebook, and they were talking about. You might have seen it. I don't know. They were talking about how much practice someone should have as a beginner.
Yes.
Right? I'm sorry. You see it?
I did see
right.
it.
Well, I'll tell all your fans, you know, keep it in or edit it out. 15 minutes a day won't get you anywhere in life. It takes you 15 minutes to sit down on your stool, adjust yourself like that. Here's a stick here. Oh, yeah, I'll just stick my drinks over there. Here's 7 minutes, gone, you donut, right? I'm talking about proper practice. Now, if you devoted an hour's practice, how many people go on, off an hour? No one. You put an hour's time in, you're lucky if they do half hour.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, right, 15 minutes, it's a known fact. It doesn't matter what physical skill you do. Repetition is the key to cement a good technique to develop yourself to be good at something involving a skill. Repetition takes time. 15 minutes isn't no time.
If you want to become, if your ultimate goal is to become a pro drummer and make money out of it one day, you know, which I've got many like 14, 15-year-old students that's what they want to do. Yeah, they'll easily spend 3 hours on their Xbox. But when it comes to drums, they're like, oh no, I've not really had time this week. And I'm like, but you're running around with a little imaginary gun, which isn't going to get you anywhere in life. But you won't get on this, which you know is gonna. You want to be a drummer, so you don't want to.
Don't get me wrong. What I turned around and said was, you know, if people aren't that serious, it's a bit of fun for them, right? Just do 2 minutes a day if you want, but don't expect to be good. This is for people who usually they take up something, they want to be pretty good at it. Most people don't take up something to be very bad at it. They take it up because they want to try and get good at it. Well, you've got to try and get good at it. You've got to do the things that go with trying to get good at it, which means practice, which means, yeah, but it's boring. You're doing it right then. I've always said that, right? Doing this, nothing more boring than that. If you know what that does, once you've learned it, you ain't got to learn it again. Yeah. Once you've got good singles, good hand set, they work together, and do your doubles sound like your singles, you've now got a platform of becoming really good. But people don't want to do that.
And also the difference between, I believe in this, practice and playing. So kids will get on a kit and they'll just play through songs that they can do. And then it's like, and they're like, yep, I've done 20 minutes practice. I'm like, no. Practice is what you find hard. Practice isn't enjoyable. Playing is not practice. So if you want to play, do 20 minutes of playing then, and then do your hour of practice afterwards, and then do 20 minutes.
And I turn around and say to people, you know, you're playing, yeah, it's nearly good. No one wants to employ the nearly good drummer. And you know why it's nearly good? Your playing is a product of your practice. Right? So you're not practicing the right things to make your playing good so that someone then books the good drummer. Oh, I can nearly do it. Let's nearly do it. Okay, then come in and nearly do it. No! You know, and you're too busy with your left foot bloody trying to do a clave while you're doing it. Where? What band and what gig you could left foot claveing? For crying out loud. Come on, guys. We want you to go boom, make it feel good, not speed up. All the beats nice and consistent with a nice little drum fill that works with what it is you're playing. And
yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, totally. And yes, I did see that post on Facebook.
When I went for the audition with Uriah Heep, there was 240 drummers went for that audition worldwide, right? And some of them, they kept stopping. So you're going to hit the drums. You're going to hit the drums. You're going to hit the drums. Because you're not used to it. You know, these guys, some of these gigs require power. You go and watch Tony Royston Jr. on YouTube playing with Jay-Z, right? Gospel drummer from hell. His chops are from hell. He's not playing all them chops. Why is he doing that? Because he gets sacked. But also, is he going like this? Boom, no, he's bloody lashing it because he's creating an energy that needs to be transmitted onto the stage to 60,000 people.
Yeah.
Right. Well, if you don't experiment in how to hit the drums for different situations, it's an unknown territory. How can you know what's right and wrong if you don't experiment with it? You've got to hit them hard, you've got to hit them fast, you've got to hit them slow, you've got to hit them quiet to find out what the hell's going on.
Yeah. Yes. Where did we start with that? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. My question was now, I think it was, what are your hobbies?
Oh, yeah. We've gone off from all the hobbies. Well, my other hobby is trying to get the drumming world to think the right way, along probably with what you're trying to do.
Yeah, quite.
Now, I might say something that's contradictory to what another drummer says, right? It doesn't make mine right and his wrong. It's just a different interpretation of the same thing. We all have the same goals. If you're nailing a big gig in one way to get there and nailing another gig there, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just that some things, because you probably teach rudiments, don't you?
Yeah. Well,
you know, my biggest thing is I think the rudiments are the biggest farce in the drumming world. Well, I'm sorry to say it, but it is, because it's made for drummers to walk up and down in drum lines. I learned that with Bob Armstrong. It's just that when I've become a professional musician, and there comes a time when you have to start believing in your own experience and your own ability, I suddenly realised that what spurred my playing on and accelerated my playing on more than anything was focusing it in on the things that made me quicker. And what I found out was that all the rudiments are a combination of two. Well, if there's a flaw in one of the first two, all the rest are going to have the flaw in because they're a combination of. So if you devote more of your time to the first two and got them shit off, you just learn the phrase of those two and you can play it piss easy, which is why I don't need to play. And as for things like pattern flarfars and flat parodies, as far as I'm concerned, right, they should be buried in the deepest grave known to man. I've never heard anyone play one. In a solo, maybe, right? But has anyone played one in a group? What are people thinking? Ratty McHugh, what are you doing? Hang on a minute. No, so I don't get it. It's like when you get those demonstrations. Boom, gag, paradiddle, 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 boom. But why? Why are you never going to play it ever? It's making it a reality and an exercise. I believe they're two different things. You know, you can go as a hand warm up, as a flowing exercise for your hands to get used to transition between dynamics, singles and doubles. That's what it's for. We don't play anything else. All this business of who plays that? You're going to do it in a solo, and you don't get many solos where you're doing a gig. Just shut up, right? So what we've got is all that bit there, right? That's exercises. I can understand doing it as an exercise for fluidity, playing a so-called difficult rudiment, if you want to call it that, around the drums, right? But don't put it in context. It's not in context, because if you played that as a drum fill, the bass band look round and go, you've been playing for 5 minutes. It's not musical. It doesn't fit, and it sounds crap.
Yeah.
There's a difference, isn't there? Put it in context. I understand when you're going, we all know Steve Gadd's done the paradiddly type thing. But how many of those bands are in England where you're going to get the gig?
Yeah.
You can go on forever. So that's why I say priority. It's great to learn that, but those bands aren't over here for you to get the gig. Right, so it goes down a bit. How many times are you going to go, oh, let's do that song by the Rolling Stones, because you probably will play that, right? And you go, what are you doing? So it's got to go down further. And that becomes a 10 minutes icing on the cake. Now you can do it because as drummers, we all know it sounds great. It's so nice. Of course it does. But it's not priority because you're going at the moment and it sounds all stiff and horrible, speeding up in the drum fills and not coming back in on one. That's priority.
The thing, going back to my cake analogy, get your sponge sorted first.
That's it. What it should be.
Before your icing, and then, like, last of all, the candles, you know.
Exactly, mate. And if they were to, but it's a level of understanding as well, I feel, because not everyone says that, like you're saying it. If people understand, you can only do something if you understand it. I remember teaching loads of students in the past, and I know for a fact, because I was one of them when I was a student. So your teacher says that, do you understand? You go, yes. I know damn well you don't. The reason why people don't want to say no is they don't want to feel like they're the idiot, the village idiot that doesn't understand anything. So they say yes. Well, if you don't understand it, when you go home, how the hell are you going to practice something you don't understand? And if you do practice it, you're not going to practice it properly. So when you come back the next lesson, the teacher then has to undo the crap that you've been doing, teach you properly, ask you again, you go, yes, you don't understand it, and so it's a cycle, which is why they learn very slowly. There's nothing wrong in saying, sorry, can you explain it better? Well, I don't understand. Because the quicker you understand, the best teacher is yourself. Because when you're at home without the teacher going, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, it's only your self-discipline that's going, oh, hang on a minute. That's how you get better.
And also saying to your teacher, no, I don't understand, you shouldn't be afraid of that, because you're there with your teacher, paying your teacher to explain it. And if your teacher is a good teacher, they will be able to explain it to you in a different way. So Russ, probably the most important question of this session. We've had some really varied answers on this so far. What's your favourite biscuit?
Hey! Rich tea.
Oh, we've not had that one yet.
Oh, get out of here.
We have not had rich tea yet.
Well,
Is that a dunked rich tea or a crunchy rich tea? A dunker.
Dunking tea, hot tea. I always drink my tea within a minute.
Okay.
I can't stand cold tea. Hot tea, dunk rich tea biscuit. I do like a milk chocolate. I do like a custard cream.
Oh.
And I will advertise it. It has to be Asda's. Asda's out the stores make the best custard creams, but rich tea.
There we go. You heard it here first. A rich tea. Is that on your rider? Rich teas.
No, because you can't get them all over the world, can you?
I suppose. But
what's on my rider is a Valpolicella Ripasso Superior red wine. It's on my rider. That is my alcoholic choice.
I've just thought, there we go. That's a question for the other interviews. What's on your rider?
Oh, you want to know what's on Uriah Heep's rider?
Yeah, go on then.
Right, you ready?
Yeah.
Bottle of vodka, bottle of tequila, 2 1.5 litre bottles of Jack Daniels, 24 cans of beer, 24 cans of Coke, 24 cans of lemonade, ginger, lemon, bottle of rum, spicy rum, bottle of brandy, 3 bottles of white wine, Chardonnay, 3 bottles of red wine, Valpolicella Ripasso Superior, just in case anybody sees me, it feels like they should just donate for this marvellous bit of tips that I'm giving. Yeah, and then obviously whatever, 48, 60 bottles of water or whatever it is. Plus nibbles.
Yeah, plus nibble, of course.
Nibbles, got nibbles.
My last question is, what's your main piece of advice for up and coming drummers? You've given us loads already, but if there was kind of one thing that you had to choose overall over everything else, what do you think that would be?
Be yourself. As again, I'm going to quote another Bob Armstrong one. I remember him saying to me, "Don't let the bastards grind you down. In this business, you get pulled down and pulled down. Those walls come up all the time when you're trying to learn something or get better. You got to go through it, mate. You only get out what you put in. It's a skill. There's no little app that's going to help you do anything. There's no teacher that can make you, hang on, it's a gold dust. I'll just make you a fantastic teacher. There you go. It doesn't work. You've got to put in to get out. But if you overcrowd yourself, as I said before, it's no good doing 47 rudiments in an hour. How much is going to be devoted on each rudiment then? Nothing. Pointless. Right? You need to devote a lot of time. Repetition the right repetition with the right technique produces the fastest results. And you just got to get on it and listen to as much music as you can. And people, it's not about, I don't like death metal, I don't like this. Listen to it. It's all music. It's all interpretation. And there's rhythms going all over the place. I've used an Afro-Cuban 6/8 rhythm on the classic rock record. Who would have thought? It's only a rhythm. How you interpret it. It's only a rhythm that's a phrase that's embellished in that music at the time. And as I said, it's a bit like how to hold the sticks. Well, you hold the sticks the way that it works best for you. I don't believe in Mola. You know what I mean? If it works for you, fine. But that isn't the way to play the drums. You know, it's efficiency of movement. We all know to do this, to do that. It's the easiest way and quickest way to get from an accent to... You haven't got to do this bloody stupidity thing. And the fingers on top. It worked great for Billy Cobham. Why doesn't it work for thousands of other drummers? It's not really the right way to do it. But it doesn't mean so it's the wrong way. You've just got to realise that, you know, through doing certain things that have worked for me, I want to pass on. If it helps one drummer, I've done my job of passing it on. It isn't Russell Gilbrook says that's the only way at all. I'm just very keen to pass on what has worked for me in a fantastic way. I don't think there's anything wrong in that. When someone's come, I've had loads of people come to me, ask me about, you know, the grips and this. Don't get too hung up with it. We all know whatever works for you, you've got to have speed, power, control, right, with dynamics. That's it. If you're losing a little bit in any of those areas, you've got to look at the only thing that's holding the sticks, your hands, not anything else. It's your hand technique. And that's what's going to hinder you. It's no good going struggling there, and then I can't play this. Why can't I do the doubles around the kit? What can I do? Well, because you can't do it here. You can't jump to floor 7 if the first 6 floors are rubbish. What's the matter with you?
Russ, thank you so much for spending your time with us here at DrumWise. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and all the best for the future.
Tom, it's been a pleasure. Always happy to answer any questions and to give as much advice as possible. Everyone at DrumWise, you've got a great guy there, great teacher. Keep practicing, number 1. And number 2 is don't answer back. And number 3 is keep smiling because it's a great instrument.
Thanks, Russ. Take care.